Greetings friends, this is Dr. T and welcome to our channel. I promised you that I will be now posting videos every week, and this is my way of keeping to that promise that I've made to you. And this week I want to speak to you about one of the questions that I have received about whether to study online or distance education or to go face to face. And when I got this question, I think the person, obviously there's one of the universities in South Africa called UNISA where they do distance education, and he wanted to check whether that will be a best advice or the best decision to make or not. And I usually have certain reservations when somebody finishes matric and they want to go directly to UNISA. I think I once heard somebody actually who went to UNISA immediately after finishing matric, and the people I know, and I can't speak for majority, but the people I know who went to study distance education immediately after matric, majority of them, if not all of them, never finished on time. Never finished on time. And there's a reason for that. And that's what I want to focus on in this video. Now, there are various reasons that you need to consider before you can choose a university immediately after matric. And one of them is, you can just imagine when you finish your matric there and you go to university, the level of work and the burden and the demand of work at the varsity level is way higher compared to what is required of you at the university level. So the reason at university you have got different or various support structures is because the demand is very high. It's significantly different from what is required of you when you are at the matric level. So that is why I wouldn't recommend somebody to finish matric and study distance education or study online unless you are somebody who have always been independent, who has been always able to study independently. I've seen some people who achieve very well in their matric, and they seem to demonstrate some level of independence in terms of being able to study alone and cope well. And to some extent such people are able to pull it through, but I think majority of the people it becomes a very difficult task to do if there is no form of support within the university structure. But you must also understand the reason we've got structures within the university to support you is because one needs to adjust in order to be able to cope with the demands of higher education. Now, the universities in South Africa, they are rated, they are measured in terms of the service that they offer. If you want to know which is the best university in South Africa, now you have different ratings that are done throughout the world, and universities in South Africa, they also apply to be rated using whatever metrics or measurements that they have. And one of the measurements that they have is the one that focuses on student support. So we can conclude based on the rating that the top universities in South Africa, one of the things that they're good at, they're able to provide support to their students. And when we look at the top 5 universities in South Africa, at the top of the list, you will see at the top we've got UCT, we've got Wits, number 2 we've got UP, we've got University of Stellenbosch at number 4, And number 5, depending on which measurements or which site do you check, you'll either find UKZN or find UJ. Now, if you know this universities, you'll understand why UCT is at the top. I think of all the universities in South Africa, I think UCT is the only institute, at least to my knowledge, that has got a director of first year experience. Now, first year experience is basically different kinds of support services that universities offer to their first year or first entering students. Now, UCT is the only institute that I know in South Africa that has got a directorate that focus on that particular portfolio. Other institute, they provide the services, but you will not necessarily find a director dedicated to that. So now you'll understand why they are at the top. But that's not the only reason they're at the top. One of the reasons, they produce a lot of research, top lecturers, they attract most of the top students in the country. Their performances are very high, but their support structures is also very wide and very good. Hence, they're at the top, followed by VET. VET also has got a very good support structure and also a good research output. UP as well is very good. I worked there for some time. They also have a very good support structure for the first years. They also attract some of the top students in the country. Stellenbosch, I don't know much about Stellenbosch, but I think it's also one of the good universities in terms of top students going there, particularly those from African speaking background. I think Stellenbosch is one of the most preferred, particularly in the Cape side. And UKZN and UJ, I think, depending on the rating, you might find them at top 5. I think UKZN are doing very well in terms of their student support structures, and UJ is also very good with their student support. So when it comes to the top 5 universities, those are your top 5. So if you were to choose whether to go face-to-face or to go online, I will say if you are coming from matric, if you are not working, if you are not committed to anything, you are just finishing your matric, you've got nothing that you do, and you just want to study, I will say let your first choice be a face-to-face contact session. Be at the university. If possible, get a rest. Be there, because the more you study in a communal setting with other students who are studying for the same course, and you will see when you stay at the rest, your whole life revolves around your studies. While if you travel, go back to university, you are in a way disadvantaged, because while you are in a taxi, somebody's in the library, or somebody that walking to their rest. When they get there, they're studying. You are still in the taxi, you are still in the car. So those things can also have an impact on you. So I will say, if possible, get a rest, go to a contact university, and be able to study from there. Those are your top 5 universities. If you are coming out of matric, I will say go there. If you are working already and you are considering studying, I will say consider online or consider part-time. Now, the issue with part-time, I think my reservation are because I know how demanding it is to study online or to study through distance education. For example, I told you that I've got a PhD, and one thing, anybody who have done a PhD or a master's, they will tell you, actually, PhD is the most common one, where you are not in class. I think masters, you might have some form of class, and you might have coursework, and then you might have research. But with the PhD, it's purely research. You are never required to do any class work. You won't be attending any lecture. So you are on your own doing research. So you can actually compare that with studying independently or distance or online, because it's just you, your computer, and your research. So you can ask anybody who's done a PhD. They will tell you how demanding it is. So basically, if you leave a matric and you go directly to study distance education, you are engaging with education at what other people engage with it at the PhD level, which is still difficult. So you can just imagine anybody who does a PhD, they've probably studied for 3 years, a degree, they've done an honors, and they've done a 1 or 2 years of masters, and they're on their 7th year of study. That's when they do a PhD. 6th or 7th year, they're doing a PhD, which will take them a minimum of 3 years to 7 years, whatever the duration that it will take. So imagine at that level, you have already been in higher education for at least not less than 5 years, but you still struggle to finish a PhD. Anybody who's done a PhD will tell you it is very difficult, even though that's all that you do. Even if you are not working, you wake up, you go to the library, it is still difficult to finish a PhD. So imagine now a person who doesn't even have a background of higher education. You tell that person that immediately after matric, go and study independently. The person might not even have performed well, and you want them to become independent. I think that puts a lot of burden on people. That is why I tell you that some of the people that I know who study through distance education, they struggle to complete on time. Actually, throughput in general, throughput basically we're speaking about the time it takes for somebody to start first year and complete their studies. Throughput in general in South Africa is very low. Now imagine now where there is distance education. Throughput is low even in institutes that provide face-to-face education. Now imagine in distance education. So it's a very difficult thing to do. I will not recommend it. If you have not done some form of formal training or formal learning, I will say if you want to study in South Africa or anywhere in the world, I will say try face-to-face. But if you are already working, you are independent, you are an adult, and I think you have been exposed to some form of learning. And when I say learning, I'm not only talking about formal learning. I'm not talking about just having a diploma or a degree. Learning basically could be you've been in employment for a long time. You know the process of learning. You know about planning, discipline, time management. I think you have got a chance to cope. Whether you're going to complete on time, I think it's another issue. Because remember, the more you are occupied by other things, or you are preoccupied by other things, like work, family, and all that, your time becomes constrained, and you might not have much time to be able to dedicate to your studies. So at the end of the day, I think it's a very difficult thing to do. I will not recommend it. I will say if you are finishing matric, you want to study, and you are considering whether distance education or face-to-face, if you are able to, I will say go face-to-face. Go face-to-face. That's what I will recommend for you. I hope that helps and will be able to guide you as you take your career path. So folks, I thank you so much. If you are new to the channel, I encourage you that you subscribe to the channel. And if you are a member of this channel, make sure that you invite other people, let them join this channel, get your free career counseling, get your free guidance in terms of your career, your business, whatever that you need. Invite people who are going to benefit from this channel. I'll see you soon. Enjoy.